You are now listening to the Cinnamon and Sugar Podcast featuring D'Angelo Williams and Gary Barnage. You push play and they'll push the limits.
You call your friend. Which one do you call first?
I'm using their account. I'll text my, hey, did you change your password or something, blah, blah, you know.
Why wouldn't you just say, hey, is there something going on with WWE? Are you able to log in still? Something like that.
And actually, he's one of my best friends. He's one of my best friends. I'll give him a shout out. His name's Budweiser Miller. Legit, that's his real name.
So that's one
Miller.
time?
And,
One time?
Yeah, I've been using his
So his middle name's Weiser?
Yeah. Huh?
His name's Weiser?
No, he doesn't have a middle name. Technically, he has two names, Budweiser Miller.
So is that the only one time?
Nope, that's not the only one, but that's the only one I needed to prove that I've talked about it.
You said one thing about him. Gotcha.
Hey, it's your boy Tom here, and we are back with another episode of Cinnamon and Sugar Podcast. And just to prove that I have talked about my boy Budweiser Miller.
In
there
passing.
We go.
In passing.
In
We'll give you that
passing.
though. In passing. In passing.
Okay. Well, look,
We'll 100% give you that.
I ain't gonna lie, I'm getting a little nervous that I might be down $50 after the
Woo!
but I still got faith they can pull it out. But besides my weekend being terrible because of that, how was y'all's weekend?
Hold on. Before we dive into what we did this weekend, I got to get this conversation out of the way. Because, there was a lot that happened over the weekend, and there was something that came up that I wanted to ask you guys. Before we dive into the weekend and before we move forward and push forward, I got a question for both of y'all. I'm pretty sure you guys have heard the Richard Sherman situation that's going on. My question to you, is this a cry for help, or is this a guy that just made a mistake and he needs to own up to the mistake that he made?
Wow.
That's the question that I have. Is this a guy that needs help? Is this a guy that's like screaming, obviously, hey, I need help. I have a drinking problem. I have this. I need that. I need help. Or is this a guy that just made a mistake and that he need to own up to that mistake and he deserved the time for the mistake that he made?
We really gonna bust down this door right now?
We busting down this door right now. We kicking it off. Before we dive into it, because I want to make sure we get into this, because I've heard both sides. I've heard people say that this guy right here, he needs some absolute help. And then there's the other side of the fence saying, hey, these NFL guys or these people with money think they can just go out here and do whatever the hell they want to do without any repercussions, none whatsoever. So I'm asking you guys, is this a guy that need help, or is this a guy that just made a mistake and need to own up to it?
Time, I'll let you go first.
Okay, for me, it's very clearly just someone that made a mistake. People make mistakes in their lives all the time. There's probably 80% of the people that are listening to this have not necessarily done what Richard Sherman done, but know somebody that's done something like that. And it's just, I don't think it's a cry for help until it's a repeated pattern of behavior.
Just for reference, I don't know anybody that's done that, but okay.
Okay, well, you're in the 20%. But I feel like I hear about people going over and yelling and busting down doors. I don't know. Maybe it's the rich folk. You don't hear about that as much, but I don't know. I feel like it's not necessarily. I don't mean like necessarily the busting down a door, but like getting drunk and maybe going and arguing with your spouse or going to somebody's friend's house and yelling because you want your spouse. I hear those kind of stories all the time, and I really think this is just a one-off mistake for Richard Sherman. And that it's just something that happens. It just happens to be in a bigger spotlight because of what he did for a living.
All right. Well, I think it's a mix of both, honestly, because I think it's a mistake, obviously, because he went too far drinking, all that kind of stuff. But I think where you could say it's a cry for help is some of the stuff that he said. Like the stuff that his wife said on the 911 call that he was starting to kill himself and all that kind of stuff. That's a cry for help there. To me, like if she's going through all this situation saying he's acting this way, he's doing all this stuff, I know it's not just the alcohol talking. It could be other aspects coming out because of the alcohol. She said he drank a full handle of vodka and a whole nother thing of bourbon or something else. He had 2 full bottles. That's more than just a mistake. I think it is a mix of both. I think there is a mistake. I don't think he meant to go over to the in-laws house and banging on the door. I think that was a mistake aspect. And if he got in the car and driving and then leaving the accident, that kind of stuff's a mistake. But I think it's a mix of both. I think it's a cry for help and a mistake, because some of the stuff he was saying, you have to treat it as a cry for help, because if you don't, what if something happens and you just brushed it off? And then you're like, well, he gave you an opportunity to help him, and if you brush it off, then that you could do more. Now he could say he doesn't want the help, but then at least you tried. I think so. I think the biggest thing is it's crazy to me because nobody would expect this from him, because he's the pillar of the NFL community for the PA. He stands up for all the rights. So the fact that this happened and is so drastic, to me, tells you there's a little bit more going on inside of his head than just a mistake. That's why I say it's definitely a mix of both.
Man, I heard so many jokes about the CTE and maybe the door getting drafted by the Jets because it was able to keep Richard Sherman out of his in-laws' house. I mean, I've seen it all, and I wanted to hear you guys' point of view, and I'll tell you mine. I'm not gonna say it's a little bit of both. I think it's a cry for help, 100%, because I've met and spoke with Richard Sherman, and he doesn't seem like that type. But then again, you could say that about a whole bunch of people that you're like, hey, they're not that type. But then later on down the road, you find out, hey, maybe they were. Tom, your mic is loud. Later on down the road. So it's kind of one of those things where, you just got to look for the signs. Okay. We don't know what goes on behind his closed doors, but we do know that he's not one of those guys to exhibit this type of behavior. So if he's not one of those kind of exhibit this type of behavior, then let's get to the root. What's causing it? Does it have anything to do with him being released or not being with the team and him trying to find a team, or is it him, not being able to play to his expectations? Or maybe it's something more than that. Maybe it's, him and his wife or the kids or somebody in the family having issues, and it's causing him to drink. I think that there's a root there. I don't think this is a mistake. I think this is something that is the tip of something that's much bigger than football, and is much bigger than him just making this mistake. I think you need to get the help that he needs, and that's for anybody, because we don't know what his mental health or what he has going on in his life, and so because of that, I'm gonna go from a standpoint of I think this is a guy that needs help, because this is not something, you can look back at some people rap sheet and be like, oh yeah, this is part of his MO, but this is not Richard Sherman. You know that, and I know that. And like you said, he was a pillar of the community. He was a spokesperson for everything player related to now this. But I know he'll bounce back from it though, because that's the type of player and type of person he is.
Well, and I think one big thing that I hope that he does, I hope that when he finally addresses everything fully, he says that he is getting help and all that kind of stuff, and doesn't just try to brush it off like it was just a one-off type of thing. I'm hoping he like addresses it, like Kevin Love has addressed his mental issues that he deals with in basketball. I think that this could be a huge step for him to be an advocate in that aspect of football, the stuff players have to go through as well. And I think he could help with that, because he is a well-spoken guy. He's intelligent, and I think this can help him with that situation.
Okay, so I guess I'll throw this out there. Do you think, and then we can get to what we did this weekend, because this has been heavy on my mind. Do you think that I'm giving Richard Sherman a pass because the history of CTE in our league, and because he played this league and the type of player that he is? Do you think I'm giving him a pass, saying that maybe it's mental health, maybe it's something that he needs to get help with, because I know he played football and CTE is a large part of the injuries that we have that are unknown within our professional sport, Gary?
So I would say, going by our previous conversations on the podcast, I would say yes, because you did not give Osaka a pass. You said she needs to do her interviews and all that kind of stuff when she said she had issues. So because of football and because of the known issues there, I think you're being more lenient than you were, because with Osaka, I felt like she deserved a pass, and then they
I
need to
don't think
find a
so,
way to
yeah.
address it. That's what I'm saying. So you shouldn't feel that way about Sherman, but you're more attached to Sherman because it's the same sport you played, and you've dealt with it, and
That's
you
what it
could,
is.
you never know. You could have friends. You could one day, God forbid, hopefully it doesn't happen. We all have to deal with that. We don't know what's in store for us with our mind because we won't know for a long time, and we don't know how tennis works. We don't know how all that round. So I can see why you're more hard on her and more lenient on Richard Sherman. But I would say there you have been on both sides of the fence.
Yep, makes sense. Okay, I just wanted to make sure. Again, I look at tennis as like an elitist sport, very similar to golf, and very similar to. I mean, I guess you can even say you think ping pong is an elitist sport.
No.
No,
It's just a very
okay.
talented sport. It's very hard. It's really good.
Okay, yeah, but that's what I see it as, and because there's no contact, and it's proven that CTE can change your brain chemistry and how you think and how you respond to certain things. I guess I am giving him a pass, knowing what he does for a living. But Gary, what did you do this weekend, brother? I had to get that conversation out of the way to make sure that we got to it.
Yeah, so my weekend, my family left on Saturday. They were here for a week, so I got to enjoy time with them. We went and saw St. Augustine because they hadn't seen it, so did a tourist stuff that I've done multiple times. But it was still good. It's always good seeing family. And then once they left on Saturday, I finally got to get back to my gaming because I haven't been able to do gaming in a while. So that was mainly most of my weekend.
I was hoping that you was gonna say something about you went and worked out some of your football players at your high school because y'all needed that work, but it sounded like you just
No,
took
we got
off
that
just like
starting
the
soon.
players.
They'll get that soon though.
What do you think you guys are gonna do this year? Just curious.
Well, we're gonna win
I'm,
more than we lose because we have a bet on it. So
yeah, I know. That's what I was just giving them an update. Do you want to tell the fans what the bet is? And I'm very confident that I'm going to win this bet.
he's gonna donate $100 to AFWB for every win that we get, long as we're over 500. If it's 500, we're a push. So that is the bet.
Yeah, and what do they pick for y'all? What do they think y'all gonna do in y'all conference this year? You know how everybody have that optimistic look.
So you're not gonna like this, but looking at the schedule, we're actually playing teams I've never heard of that are supposedly supposed to be terrible. We're only supposed to be playing like 3 good teams that I know of that have historically been good. So that's not good for you. I will say our coaches did a great job of scheduling, but again, we gotta produce and do things the right way.
Hey,
I'm laughing because he talking like he not one of them terrible ass teams.
If we win more, we lost. We aren't.
Hey, you talking like you ain't one of them terrible teams. You are at the bottom of the damn totem pole. Talking about
that money ready. Get that money ready.
What's gonna be worse is now that he said this, if they don't go over 500, it's gonna be even worse now.
Oh, I agree. And I've already told the kids. I already said that D'Angelo's betting against them, so they have even more motivation.
Okay. Okay. I'm sorry. So what did I do this week? I needed that laugh, bro. I promise you, I needed that laugh.
Oh, D, before you go with what you did this weekend, we had some emails to our mailbox about what you didn't do this weekend. Gary, you want to fill him in on what we...
So D'Angelo was supposed to go for a bike ride, I believe, on Saturday, and I think like an hour before his bike ride, he decided to just blow him off. Like he was super excited about it, but he just blew him off because it was too hot for him. That's typical D'Angelo.
And then he tried to blame his wife. He tried to blame.
He tried to put everything on white 34.
Let me clean the story. I'm gonna clean the story up for y'all. Because y'all obviously got like bits and pieces. I'm gonna put the entire story for you because those frames that you guys are capturing is painting the wrong picture. It's not painting an accurate picture of who I am and what I stand for. But I did not go for that bike ride.
Those dang pictures behind you are still crooked.
I would tell you this, and I'm gonna tell you this much right here. All right. So Saturday I was supposed to go for a bike ride, but I didn't go because I had a decision to make. I was like, I can either go for this bike ride or I'm gonna fast forward you till not Saturday, but I'm gonna fast forward you till Wednesday. My wife comes around the corner and she goes, I need to buy an event medal stand for the event August 7th. And I was like, well, what are you talking about? She was like, well, I need to find the thing to hang the medals up. So when you're ready to pass them out, you can just kind of roll them over and, pass them out. And I was like, okay, cool. Let's see if we can find some on Amazon or something like that. Well, we couldn't find any. They don't make those. Right. And so she came to me and she was like, honey, they don't make those. I was like, you know what? I can make it. I'm pretty sure I can put it together. She was like, okay, then. Well, put it together. So, a couple of days go by, Friday pop up and she was like, hey, we're a few weeks out from the event. When are you going to have this medal stand? I was like, okay, I got an idea. So I went to our local hardware store and I picked up a few items and I built one. I built one on Saturday and I'm going to tell you how this went. And y'all tell me, was I wrong for this? Because I build a stand. I build a stand. And after I finished building the stand, I called my wife out there. And she looks at it and she goes, hey, if the pegs are not straight, it's going to bother me. So just make sure the pegs are straight. And I'm like, all right. Like, first of all, you couldn't buy one of these. I made this. And with me making this, everything's not going to be flawless. Like, it's not going to be like you just bought it out of a shop. We just need it to be functional. We don't necessarily need it to look good. We just need it to be functional. This is what I'm thinking, right? So I finish it and I'm like, okay, I glue down the pegs and stuff. Obviously, I know that these pegs are going to be an issue because I didn't cut the holes straight. So I know that they're not going to be straight. So she comes out and she looks at it and she said, oh, the pegs are going to bother me. I'm just going to get somebody else to make it out of steel. And I go, honey, if that was the case, you should have probably led with that. I didn't even have to make what I made. You could have just went to this person that you're talking about that you just going to get it made out of and get it made from them. I got upset. Yeah, I did. I honestly did. I got upset. Am I wrong for getting upset? Because if you was going to get it from somebody else and it was going to bother you for me building it, me not building it to your specifications, but me building it all in the sense of I'm building this for you. So if I'm building this for you, then I'm not going to get everything. Like if you asked me, if I told you, Gary, hey man, I'm going to build you something and you couldn't buy it somewhere else and it didn't come out exactly like it would if you bought it from somebody else, then wouldn't you be grateful? Like, hey man, I really appreciate it. If it's functional, you'll still use it. But was I wrong for getting upset about her saying that, hey, I'm not going to use it because it bothers me that the pegs are not straight?
Well, I think you're more wrong for blowing off your rider buddies, and you could have really dedicated more time on Sunday to get it right so you wouldn't have any issues. If you would have rode,
bro,
you wouldn't have
Sunday
that
is the
issue on
Lord's
Saturday.
day. Sunday's the Lord's day. On the 7th day, you're supposed to rest. I was resting. I rested it on Sunday. Okay.
I see how you just glossed over not riding the bike.
What you mean? I built a metal stand, an event metal stand for my wife on Saturday. Yes, I did.
That wasn't appreciative, so you should have just went to your bike ride.
Well, I should have. That's not the question. The question is, was I wrong for getting upset that she said what she said, or should I took the criticism and just roll with it?
I think you should have just said, hey, well, next time I won't do it.
What I think is D'Angelo needs to teach a master's class on deflection and changing the subject. It is amazing how well he can make you feel like he's not avoiding your topic.
What are you talking about?
We literally brought up the email of you not going to ride, and you have not mentioned it one time.
What are you talking? There's nothing. I told you the reason why I didn't make the ride is because I built a metal stand for my wife. I couldn't do both. So I sacrificed that fun of me riding. I really get a lot of joy out of cycling, man. And I figured that my wife would be okay with me staying at home and missing out on that joy and putting something together for her.
You didn't want to make her jealous that you were having fun.
That's what it is, man. You know how it is, Ty. You know how it is. That's what it is.
It sounds like she wanted you gone.
No, it didn't sound like that. Now, the email did the email come from her? Damn, y'all are very confident in her feelings.
We can't reveal our sources.
Dang, unbelievable, man. But that's what I did this weekend. I built her that. I watched some TV. I didn't really do too much, man. Sunday I rest. I'm like Chick-fil-A on Sunday, man. I'm closed. So I'm not there's nothing that I delegate on Sunday where you just like, oh yeah, you could have did it on Sunday. No, I'm not doing nothing on Sunday, bro.
Speaking
I'm,
of Chick-fil-A, have you gone back to Chick-fil-A since you started your little hiatus because you didn't get that My Pleasure that one time?
yeah, I'm back. I'm back, man. You know, it didn't I'm back. I'm gonna tell you what's crazy though. Did you see that Church's Chicken now has a not Church's Chicken? Popeyes is coming out with chicken nuggets.
Hmm.
Bro, you know how serious it's about to be?
Well, they said that they have overmade. They're prepared to overmake how many they're going to need, so they don't have the fiasco they had 2 years ago.
Now, I ain't saying they're gonna be bomb like that. I'm just saying that they
No,
got.
they're not.
That's what I'm saying. I'm happy that they're coming out, but damn, it ain't the chicken sandwich.
I don't
But
care what anybody says. Chick-fil-A's chicken sandwich and nuggets, you can't be beat right now.
Yeah, it's unmatched. I mean, you know that
I'm not gonna get
Popeyes.
in this chicken debate with y'all. I
All
shouldn't
right.
have to. Just based off of the fact that even if I talk about it, it's gonna come off as racist on this podcast. So I'm not even gonna talk about chicken. I'm not even the fact that it's fried. I'm not gonna try to live up to the stereotype. I'm not even gonna fight it. We just gonna not talk about it because talking about it from this point on, somebody gonna come off as racist.
Don't be
and
mad
that's
just
not what we're looking
because.
for.
Don't be mad just because Gary and I aren't drinking the Kool-Aid of Popeyes.
Correct.
Okay, so
I am
all
not
of
a
that,
Popeyes
all
guy.
of that was racist. Just
I am not a
all in
Popeyes guy.
itself. All in itself. That's what I'm saying. You're gonna make it worse time. They're gonna cancel us because you over there. Not
So why can't we say Kool-Aid? Why can't we like Kool-Aid
Right.
too?
That's not what I'm talking about. He said, "Don't drink the Kool-Aid."
It's an
He knows.
expression.
Yeah.
It's an
Okay.
expression.
All right. Okay. That's just like white people can't use the expression "it's the pot calling the kettle black"
Yes,
when
you
you
can.
talking to somebody black, bro. You can't. You can't. You also can't say you call a spade either. That's
Yes, you
racist.
can.
You cannot say that to black people, Gary. I've
If you
told you this.
okay, you don't say direct. You don't direct any of those comments at somebody. It's something, an expression that's used to explain something that's going on.
Gary,
It's
you've
not in
used that
relation to
expression
somebody.
to me. I call a spade, and I was like, "Damn, Gary, I thought we was closer today."
You're not talking about anybody individual. You're talking about a situation.
Okay, all right,
All
but
right,
I
we
do
gotta
have a
gotta get us back on the rails a
yeah.
little bit.
Get us back on the rails, time. What we got today, man?
Well,
What we got
first of all, what we need to jump into is everybody's favorite family movie from this
Nope, actually,
weekend.
we're not going to do that because we have still 2 weeks. We've been telling people we're going to talk about the college.
Oh,
So we got to do
man,
that first to make
okay.
sure we get to it.
All right, all right. So let's go ahead and jump into the athletes in college being paid now. What do you, as former high-profile athletes, think about this? Is it long overdue? Do you think it's a mistake? What do you think happens now?
I think it's definitely long overdue, and I'm in the same boat. I think it was Mikal Bridges who said he just wants to get $20 back or something. Like I would love to get some reimbursement for money I missed when I was playing, because that was I think it's a right step. I do. The only thing that I'm hesitant about is they do have to find a way to I guess like monitor it, just because like what's going to stop anybody that lives in Alabama to just pay all these players, all the top recruits? Hey, we'll give you all this money to do endorsement deals just to come to our school. That's where you get into that illegal recruiting aspect through endorsements, through the companies around. And you can't tell me people like Ohio State and Alabama aren't going to do that. They 100% will. The companies around will do that and tell these kids that if you come here, we'll help. We're going to give you all this stuff for endorsement deals. That's the only thing I think that has to be monitored, because I don't think any player should get any deals or have anything prior. Like they can't have anything in waiting for them till after they commit. But again, how do you still limit all that? I think that's the only issue you're going to run into. Other than that, I think it's great that kids can make money off their name and their likeness. I think that's an amazing thing. I think it's crazy. It is great that all sports are able to do it, because it's not just football, basketball. It's all sports are able to do that. So everybody's going to get some chance of getting some kind of passive income by doing different things. And I think it's great. But I think that's the only thing you have to monitor is how do you make sure it doesn't turn into a recruiting ploy that allows for illegal recruiting aspects. That's the only thing I could see go crazy, because nobody in Memphis is going to pay everybody to come there, because it's a different feel than the boosters that you have at Alabama, because they have Alabama has all that money with the boosters. It's just crazy.
Okay, so I think it's so stupid that they're allowing this to happen, but I also think it's a really smart thing. And this is why I say that it's really stupid. There's no way of them regulating this. So because there's no way of them regulating this, then let's just say the quarterback at Alabama's making, $1.6 million this year, and the quarterback at University of Memphis, he's making $6,000 this year off of his name and likeness. But this is why I say it's also stupid. I don't understand how the NCAA, and I understand why they was fighting this, because they stood to lose millions and millions of dollars. So when I say they stand to lose millions and millions of dollars, so I'll give you a case in point. If let's say Shout Out wanted to come in and they really like the quarterback at Alabama, well, they can't get the quarterback. So now they have to sponsor the entire team in order to get the quarterback. That's how Alabama makes money. So they come in, they sponsor the whole entire team. They now in turn get the quarterback and the whole team, and now they paying this school $12 to $15 million to be a sponsor. Well, now if I want the quarterback based on the new rules, I just go to the quarterback and I can pay him $500,000 instead of paying the team $12 million to get the whole team to get him. So now I just get the quarterback, and now I've saved myself some money, which costs the school a lot of money. And now that's how the NCAA college kid wins, right? But in the midst of that winning, there's also going to be some losers, because everybody is all subcontracted out their own individual entity. So now that third running back that's trying to make a little money, now maybe that car dealership down the street is saying, hey, I'm gonna give him $3, $4, $5, $6,000. Now I'm using it as a recruiting aspect, because all our guys are getting paid. Like you said, Gary, again, there's no way to regulate this thing.
Mm-hmm.
So you can regulate it any way you want to. I'm telling you right now, the first year of this eligibility where people can get paid is going to be the year that they have the most issues with it, because they don't have any regulations in there to secure or to protect themselves. This is like a free for all, and everybody's kind of making the rules as they go. This is the one that nobody's brought up though, that really bothers me a little bit. What about all these guys that got busted for taking money and accepting money leading up to this? This goes back to that whole weed thing. Like, are you gonna let all the people out of prison when that have weed charges when you legalize it worldwide? Or do you still hold them accountable because it was illegal at the time? Like Reggie Bush, for instance, you accused him of taking money, so he doesn't have his Heisman Trophy. So do you now in turn give it back because now it's legal to accept money and stuff like that? Or do you know we're not grandfathering anybody in from this point on? Now it's legal. Is it like the purge now? We just gonna let whatever happen from this point on, but you was under different rules then. That's my question to you. What do you let them? You give him back?
I think Reggie Bush should get his trophy back. I don't think he ever should have lost in the first place, because whether you took anything off the field, it has never affected your on the field play. Your on the field play is completely separate from anything that happens off the field. So anything you do on the field, I think you earned that right to have whatever awards or trophies you got on the field because you did it on the field. That's all it is. That's what the award comes down to. It's not about who you are as a person. None of that is. It's all about what you do on the field. So I think he deserves it.
Okay. I was told that a lot of people don't think he deserves it because the hardships that come with being in college, if you're paid or have money, it relieves you of that stress of going to college and being that student athlete that everybody else is, and that therefore is a competitive advantage. I think it's stupid,
I
but
disagree.
it's hey, that's their fight against, accepting money when you're in college and you're a college athlete.
Yeah, I disagree with that. That doesn't make sense. But that's literally all I have. I just disagree. I think that's a dumb statement for them to have. And if it's not people that didn't experience, that didn't play college sports, they don't know.
Yeah, my wife said something interesting to me this weekend too. She was talking about Shikari, and Shikari taking, smoking the marijuana before going out competing, and she had to miss the Olympics, and now a lot of people are boycotting. And we're riding in the car, we're on our way back from the gym, and she goes, I could see how marijuana could be a competitive advantage. And I go, huh? I'd like to hear this. She goes, yeah, it takes that edge off. Like it's that calm before the storm. If you're able to keep your emotions and keep your nerves in check, then that's a competitive advantage, because all the other runners or other people can't keep their nerves in check. And I was like, oh, that's interesting. I see what you did there. But again, I didn't agree with her at all, but she did have a valid point.
I do think it's an interesting aspect, but I definitely don't think it would help you enough to make you win anything.
Yeah, so. I know that was interesting. What else we got, Tom?
So before we get to Space Jam, I also wanted to talk about WWE, because WWE is in town, and your boy is rolling to Monday Night Raw tonight. And even though I invited y'all to come out and hang, but y'all are too cool, whatever, it's okay. But
we don't trust them people down in Texas. We heard y'all, man. Y'all COVID cases was rising and some more shit.
Oh, so are they?
Yeah, man. Y'all COVID cases up there high. The variant running rampant out there. We just trying to make sure that we safe. I understand, some people on this podcast are vaccinated. Some of us are not. Whatever your status is, we don't want it to be COVID positive.
Well, I know actually a big part of the COVID cases going up in Texas, where all those people that hopped on a plane decided to fly out. Did you see that?
I did.
Nah, what happened?
So, some Texas legislatures were trying to block a bill. I don't even know if they're trying to block it, but they were just trying to, take a stand. So a bunch of them hopped on a plane and left to go to D.C., and they posted this picture of none of them wearing masks. They were Democratic legislators, by the way, and none of them wearing a mask. And later on, it came out that a few of them had tested positive for COVID. So it was kind of like a bad look for, their party.
But that's Texas in general, though. They said everything's bigger in Texas, and that goes for egos and pride too. So we don't put that. Y'all are becoming like the new Florida. The new Florida man is going to be the new Texas man. Why?
Hey, I'll accept it. But yeah, I wanted to talk to y'all about Money in the Bank. I know we all watched it. We tuned in. Yeah. I want to see how y'all felt about the fans being back and better than ever.
Well, we tried to tune in. But, we had a bunch of issues with streaming because.
Whose fault is that? Who do I blame for that? I mean, I understand WWE. Well, I know WWE is putting on the telecast, but they're not broadcasting or streaming it. I understand that it's Peacock's issue, but again, though, yeah, because they didn't have to sell the Peacock. They could have just stayed WWE Network, and we'd have never had these issues to begin with.
So, but I think overall, I thought the fans being back was much better. I think it was I think you could tell the wrestlers really enjoyed it too, being a fun, because they could feed off of them, and you really saw that in the last match, how they were really interacting with the fans and like yelling where the fans could hear them and stuff. I think that's something that they didn't do a ton, but they did some back before COVID. But I think it's really, really amped up now, so that it's more interaction with the fans, especially first real live event for it. But overall, I think it was a decent pay-per-view. I hate that they put the belt back on Charlotte Flair. I mean, she just always has to have a belt. That's annoying.
Bro, can we sit there for a while? Why does Charlotte Flair not look like Charlotte Flair? Did you see her? Did she have like some facial work done or something?
Yeah, her face looks
swear
a lot
she
different.
Did not look like the Charlotte Flair that I've always seen growing up.
I just couldn't get past them keep giving her the wins. She never always somehow gets a title shot and always wins. I just don't understand it. I thought it just didn't make sense. And then
who was you pulling for? Who was you gonna put the strap on?
You leave it on the current champ. She was doing well.
Riot Ripley?
Yeah. You already had her lose. Riot Ripley already lost to Charlotte once.
Yeah.
And then now you have lost again when Charlotte comes back and is able to wrestle after injuries and all this stuff. That, to me, that's just not a good look. You're trying to push Riley Ripley, but as soon as Charlotte Flair is good, we're going to give it back to her again. It just, I don't know. You're trying to build up new talent, and you just keep always giving the same belt to the same person. I think that's why WWE gets stale at times because they always have the same people fighting for the championship and always the champion. It gets frustrating as a fan. Oh, I already know who's gonna win. Like that's just not fun. Like I'll go ahead and jump into the main event with Roman Reigns and Edge. Not one time did I feel Roman Reigns was not going to win. I 100% thought he was going to win the whole time. I never had any inkling that Edge was going to win, especially with the Seth Rollins promo right before it saying he deserves it. You knew he was going to – that's lazy writing. Like you knew he was going to interfere because he was upset. Like it just doesn't make sense. And now I think it's just going to be a triple threat between the three of them. Like it's just to me, it's just so predictable and that kind of stuff. Now I really enjoyed the ladder match where Big E won. I think that was awesome because I think he's going to go against Bobby Lashley and it's going to be an interesting battle because it's a battle of strength. I think that's going to be very well done. I don't like what they did with Drew McIntyre. I thought that was terrible. They're just really washing him off. Like he deserves so much better than what he's been getting, but that's the typical. So overall, I think it was like a C.
Let's talk to the women, bro. Let's talk about the women. What did you think about
it was a good match. I did not expect the winner. I did not expect the winner that they had.
Do you not see her as Doink the Clown, bro? This is exactly the push that they gave Dunk the Clown. In fact, this is almost the exact same storyline that they used to put Dunk the Clown in the power when they was going through those Monday Night Wars.
But I think that she has the ability to withstand that and keep it going. And that's what I think is going to be interesting to see how they handle it. Because I think she can.
They got to she going to be the first one to lose the strap with the Money in the Bank?
No, I don't know. It's going to be interesting
you going to put the strap on her?
It depends it depends. Are you going to have Bianca Blair? Or are you going to have Charlotte? Who's she going to go after now? I think they put her.
I mean, she got to go after Charlotte. You don't go after Bianca Blair because Bianca Blair lights so bright right now.
I don't think they're going to put her after Charlotte because then you really know there's no way she's losing. Like that's the thing is you got to have some kind of thought they might lose. When there's no thought they're going to lose, it just makes very boring and stale.
Yeah, that makes sense. Wow.
What about y'all?
I thought. My question is, when do you think that the turn for Jimmy and Jey Uso is going to come? And first of all, did y'all notice the little dig at him for getting another DUI?
Of course.
Yeah, I saw that. Yeah, that was actually one of the cooler times of the night too, when he said, "Well, and you." Very interesting.
Well, you can see that at some point they're going to turn on him. So when do you think that is?
See, I don't think it's going to be soon because they won the titles and then they went to come and help him. And I think if it's Rollins and Edge in a triple threat with them, I don't foresee them turning on him for that. It's got to be a one-on-one match they would turn on him. And I just don't know who it would be because right now those are the only people that are there. Now, obviously, you could have Big E challenge him, but then you're just destroy everything that Rollins is doing right now with Edge because Edge hasn't clean lost. It's been because of interference.
Bro,
and what did y'all think? What did y'all think about that kick out? So you know how
it was so funny that the crowd made him kick out before.
Right.
Yes. Yeah, then he had to kick out again, and they was like, and they only showed it.
And then you heard the announcer, he was down for 10 seconds.
Right, goes, you could have counted to 10. I was like, no, you couldn't have. He kicked out once already.
I'll tell you exactly what I think about this pay-per-view, bro. This pay-per-view was god-awful. Anytime you have Edge, it's 2021, and Edge old ass is still main event, Money in the Banks, and pay-per-views, bro, you know you have hit an all-time low. This was the first time that I heard in a very long time when they was introducing people, they introduced him as a Hall of Famer, and I'm like, oh, shit. I forgot that Edge was that old, that he's already a Hall of Famer. He's Ric Flair, bro. He's Ric Flair when he gets in the ring. You know when Ric Flair used to get in the ring, you're just like, this is going to be a shit show. Like he's finna go around the room.
But I thought he did a good job wrestling.
He did.
You just knew he was gonna lose. That's all.
That's what I'm saying. Not only did you know he was gonna lose, that you knew that he was gonna have great showmanship. But you had you had every idea. You knew that Roman Reigns was gonna win this match. Right. So why even put it together? Why even put Edge in this? But who do you have him feud with though? Because you've gotten rid of all the guys that would legitimate good feuders.
Well, there is rumors that Cena may return at SummerSlam.
Cena returned yesterday at Money
Oh,
in the Bank.
I missed that.
Yes, Cena returned after they gave him his belt. When they gave Roman Reigns his belt, John Cena music popped and he came out and everybody cheered for John Cena and not the John Cena sucks. So
I
Cena
didn't know.
came
I
back to a
missed
great
that. I
pop.
tuned in too late.
Yeah. Cena came.
Well, so
Cena-
then they could be setting that up at SummerSlam, but then that defeats the purpose of Roman Reigns and Seth Rollins stuff right now. Or you're going to have Seth Rollins versus Edge. You're
No,
gonna do one of those two.
so Seth Rollins choked out Edge. You didn't watch the last match, did you?
No,
So
I
Seth
did.
Rollins,
No, he
yeah,
kicked him in the head.
Yeah, he kicked him in the head. And he ended up choking him out at the end. And when he choked him out, they rolled out of the ring. They gave Roman Reigns the belt. He stood up. He turned around. John Cena music popped. John Cena come out, and everybody go absolute ape shit. I don't know why we like him all of a sudden because we don't like him or Roman Reigns.
Yeah, it's still.
Yeah, that's like Jake and Logan Paul fighting each other.
And
It's
the
like,
thing is, if you have Cena come back and you win, you just destroyed everything you just built with Roman Reigns. And I'm not a Roman Reigns fan. And I think that being a villain was the best job for him. It was the best thing he could do for his career. And I say he's done decent with it. He's still the same wrestler. He doesn't do anything different. But I just think if you brought Cena back and he wins somehow over Reigns, you just destroyed everything you just did with Reigns for no reason.
agree. But I don't think at this point they even care.
Correct.
Because they got so much rollover there, it's insane. But I can tell you this though, I thought the player or the wrestler that they should have pushed that they haven't pushed is Ricochet. Ricochet when he first got to the big leagues or the big boys or to the Monday Night Raw when he got moved up from NXT, I thought he had the greatest potential because he was a high flyer. And he's still doing it today. Did you see what he did yesterday?
Mhm.
What you see what he did off the ladder, off the
Yep.
rope? I was like, oh, this is insane.
That man's a fool, boy.
Yeah, he's absolutely insane, and he's agile, and he does things that I haven't seen in wrestling in a long time. And nobody wants to push him because he's a little guy.
Well,
he is a little guy.
I also have an issue with the way they have AJ Styles, probably the best wrestler in wrestling. Him and Seth Rollins arguably are the two best wrestlers. You have him basically being just a partner so this big guy can show off his size. Like, it just doesn't make sense to have somebody like that in the tag team picture just to help him along because he could be a main eventer and they're not using him for that. And I think that's frustrating for me because I think matches with him and Seth Rollins would be great. Like, and you have those feuds and type of stuff. But right now, you had them fighting against the Viking Warriors or whatever they're called. Come on.
Yeah, but that's the thing though. The Viking Warriors and the Usos are like true tag team guys. The guys that have the belt right now. Before Kofi Kingston, not Kofi Kingston, but before the New Day won those, no, the Usos won those championships belt yesterday. It was what was his name? The little guy and his son, Rey Mysterio. Well, how about that, bro? Where the hell did that come from? Out of nowhere. How did you put the straps on those two guys?
I agree.
And then you go, they weren't traditional tag team champs, and neither is AJ Styles and this Humos. What is his name? Osmos
or something like that.
Yeah, I don't even know how to say his name. They're not even a traditional tag team champions. So I'm not really with the non-traditional tag champions. I think the only non-traditional tag champs that I've ever liked was Team Hell No. That was with Kane and Daniel Bryan. Those are only two untraditional, but everybody else, I like when they dressed alike and they fought throughout their whole career, and then WWE broke them up later on down the road.
What about the Rock and Sock connection, baby? Come on now.
That was good.
I wasn't a fan of that
so,
either.
I am interested in hearing Time's thoughts on the wrestling, but Time, make it quick because I know I have a lot to say about my review of your movie.
All right. Well, the big thing I wanted to say was, so I asked you that question to say this. I really think they're going to set up something where The Rock comes back to fight Roman Reigns for the chief of the family. I think they wanted to do it this year, But because obviously they didn't have fans, and they know that why bring the Brock back if we don't have fans to give that pop when he's out there.
Well, and Goldberg's in talks to come back too. Don't know who he's going to go against.
Oh God, seriously?
Yeah. So
Yeah.
it just gets worse. It gets worse. Can we please reserve the rest of the time to talk about Space Jam, please?
I think that's what it deserves.
And I want Time to go first, even though
you go first,
know
Tom.
what his opinion's going to be. I
finally get to talk about it because I got a chance to
Listen.
watch it before y'all got a chance to watch it.
Correct.
Wow,
And I
humble
told you
brag.
what my review was before. I want to see if y'all agree with me or y'all totally disagree with me. And Tom, don't you bring that bias?
Just for reference, I'm going to show y'all. I have about literally notes for days. Like I would if I was a movie critic.
Come on,
This is
Tom, what you got?
I did the
Give us
same
what you
thing
got.
when I went to movies and did it. I did everything the same I do.
Well,
Give
first
me
of all,
what you got, Tom.
let me say this. I will be shocked, literally shocked, if LeBron James does not win an Oscar for that performance that he gave in Space Jam 2, because his acting was A+ for sure. My man LeBron James might need to think about switching careers from being a basketball player to an actor. And I know a lot of people are going to say,
now please give us your honest review.
people are going to say he learned how to act.
I don't know why I
on
put
the
myself
court.
through this agony and torture every week, bro.
But no, let's hear your honest review now.
No, okay, no. Honestly, obviously, LeBron's acting was terrible. It was almost, there are a lot of. It's funny because I was watching it with Cynthia, and there'd be moments where his acting was so bad I couldn't help but laugh. But I think they did a good job on playing on that, because there's a line in the movie where it's like, it was an athlete acting. Those are always bad. And I think that what I liked about it is LeBron took a lot of the things that people say about him and turned them into jokes, like the one where he's
Just in
talking.
case you're wondering, he didn't write this movie, so.
Well, I know, but he wouldn't have okayed it if he wasn't down with it. So I'm sure he had input to it. But whenever Don Cheadle was talking to his son, I think, and he's like something about dad left or whatever. He goes, "Well, that's his MO, ain't it?" I started dying laughing because as a LeBron fan, I can appreciate that sort of stick because I understand it. As far as what it is, I think it was a great movie for kids. I think that there's a lot of fun little inserts as far as cameos from others, almost a little bit too much, just because at some point you can saturate with cameos. But I enjoyed that. I enjoyed the humor behind it. LeBron is a terrible actor, sticks to basketball, but it's okay. It's not what you do. But I enjoyed the movie as a whole. If
out of 10, what'd you give it?
Out of 10 for what? What am I grading it based on? What kind of
The
scale?
movie grading it on a damn movie is what you grading
it's
it
a
on.
movie.
On a
In
scale of
general.
10, on a scale of 10, what would you grade it? We don't want to hear anything else. What out of 10? What you grading?
Because I didn't know. Because am I grading this on would I watch it again 1 to 10, or is it like
No,
1 to
it's
10?
just, what do you think the movie? If you were telling somebody this is if
What's a 10?
I was saying Forrest Gump,
Movie's
it's a
10.
10 out of 10. What would you give the movie?
And what's the 1? What's a 1?
Gilly, whatever, with Jennifer Lawrence and Ben Affleck. Or Catwoman with Halle Berry's a 1.
Oh gosh. Okay. You know what? I'm gonna give it a solid 8 in my review. A solid 8 for my boy LeBron, and that's gonna be more swayed on the fact that I think it's great for the genre that it was supposed to be in, which is a children's movie, and that's what I'm gonna say. What about y'all?
Okay. So I'm gonna go with what Gary goes with because I'm pretty sure Gary's gonna be with me.
All right.
So I'm gonna encourage Gary to preach. That's gonna be my role in this the next 10 to 15 minutes. I however long it take Gary to get through this list of shit that we don't like about this dumbass Space Jam that just came out that you talking about. Time.
I'm gonna start it with this. You gave a kids movie an 8. You said it's 8 out of 10 because it's geared towards kids. I would give Inside Out an 8 out of 10. Not this movie is not even on par with anything.
You giving it 8 out of 10? I wouldn't.
Inside Out's 10 out of 10.
No, Up's not a 10 out of 10. Up's better than this movie. Up's an 8 or 8 out of this movie as an 8. This is not on par with Up. It's not even in the same world as Up. And that's the problem I have. Like, you're just doing it just because LeBron's in it. It has nothing to do with being a kids movie. It's all because LeBron. If any other actor was in it, you wouldn't say this. You would not give it an 8 because it's not on par with any other animated movies that are for kids. In general.
I cried whenever he hugged his son and they had that moment of realization. Like, you know what?
I hate you, Tom.
He
I
said,
hate you, bro. I hate you. Don't admit that
you need to do
anybody else,
you.
bro.
He didn't cry.
There's something wrong with you, Tom. There's something seriously wrong with you, man. You need to go get checked out.
See, that's my problem. And I even said this on the Facebook. Like I've told y'all this multiple times. I am not a Jordan fan. I am not. I don't like Jordan. I did not like Jordan growing up at all. I'm not a LeBron fan, and I'm completely biased on my review. I think you are ridiculous for saying it's an 8 out of 10.
You mean unbiased? You're unbiased?
No. He said it right. He biased as hell. He said it right. He said it right. He said it right.
If you're considering this, like I would say the Aladdin was a 10 out of 10. This is not even close to it. You're saying it's an 8 out of 10. That to me blows my mind. That tells me how biased you are.
Can we go through these notes, Gary?
Okay,
Can we get through these notes?
We'll go through my notes now.
Please? Yes, please.
So, and just for reference, I watched the original Space Jam literally right after this one.
Okay, so before you talk about the original Space Jam, I'm gonna tell you how I feel about the original Space Jam, and you either agree with me or disagree, and we roll on to this new one. I didn't think the first Space Jam was good from an acting standpoint. I thought it was good from a concept standpoint. So because we didn't know the concept, again, I'm sticking with everything that I said before I went into this movie. Because we didn't know the concept of this movie is why Space Jam was such a good movie. Not the fact that Michael Jordan was a GOAT, not the fact that Michael Jordan was a terrible actor, because he wasn't a good actor either. The reason why this movie was good because it was based on concept and concept alone. Now that we know what the concept is moving into this LeBron James new legacy movie, he didn't have that to save him. So his acting was the only thing that could save him, and we knew that was going to be piss poor. Hence the reason why I feel like this movie was terrible. But go ahead, Gary.
So I'm going to start off. This has nothing to do with LeBron at the very beginning. Bugs Bunny's voice frustrated me so much because it did not sound like Bugs Bunny. I mean, the whole time I was watching, every time he talked, I'm like, stop talking.
Okay,
because I was so frustrated. No, I'm telling you, I'm being a critic because this is, I'm keeping it real with this.
Gary's splitting asshole hairs
so much because his voice was not the same.
Okay.
And I went back and watched it, and it's completely different from the cartoons and from the original. It's a different actor. I thought he was terrible as Bugs Bunny's voice. That's obviously on the director's choice of picking all that kind of stuff. But I will say, one thing that frustrated me a lot is they literally, the coach in the opening scene said LeBron 17 times. It was ridiculous. But you don't got to say the kid's name 17 times. We know he's in this film. And throughout the whole thing, they probably said his name 175 times. Like, we know who it is. You don't have to reiterate it over and over to us. And then I went back and watched the original Space Jam. They did not say Michael Jordan's name 700 times. They probably said it 15, 20, but not 700 like they did in this movie. It was ridiculous. It was overdone. And so I thought, like you said, I thought we knew the concept. I think they tried to change it up by making it a new version of NBA Jam. Wasn't a fan.
Yeah, that's exactly what they tried to do.
It wasn't. I hated the animated players that look like snakes and a spider.
Yeah, that was
pointless.
That was
and just for reference time, because you had mentioned this briefly, Monstars would beat that team in a game.
Hell no.
Yes, they would.
Yeah, they would.
No.
Say whatever you want. Again, they had. I can't. I don't want to say it because people are going to say it's sexist, but Larry Johnson's better than Dana Taurasi. That's just.
No,
that's
thing is,
it was talent compared. So I'm just saying that if you're basing off of talent.
All right, but I honestly feel like you could give Diana Taurasi open jump shots and she's going to hit those. Whereas if you let Larry Johnson shoot, he ain't
stop it, Tom. He ain't even
Diana
done with his
Taurasi's
list, man. You just
GOAT.
coming up with shit. You just making up shit, bro. You making up shit. Go ahead, Gary. Finish your list.
WNBA and
Plus,
NBA.
she can guard Muggsy Bogues. Hell, you mean?
Hey, go ahead and finish your notes. Go ahead and finish your notes.
Obviously, you know the acting was terrible. The best actor was obviously Don Cheadle. Amazing. Every scene he was in, on point. and it all dealt with basically ribbing LeBron. I love that
Yeah.
aspect. I thought that was a great part of it. And one thing that I'd be interested to know is when they filmed this movie, was LeBron getting fed his lines when the other actors were doing the voices of the characters? Because there's times when they told a joke ribbing on LeBron and there was literally no like reaction to that joke. Like, so I don't know if they just pieced it together or if he was actually doing it in the real time, because it seemed very flat that like, oh, they told a joke and he literally just ignores the joke, but it's based on him. And I think that was a little awkward for me, because I feel like if you're going to joke on somebody, you're going to react to it. And that's something they did when they joked on Jordan. Jordan responded to that joke. They did not in this a couple different times. So I think that was a little awkward. I like the little throwback they did with Dwayne Wade, the scene with Lola throws the alley-oop and all that kind of stuff. I thought that was a nice little shout out to Wade. I like that. I will see what else we got here. I hated the Looney Tunes in 3D. Hated it.
Oh, I hated him too. Yeah, I hated him. That was the worst part. That was the worst part.
That's the thing, is it's an animated movie for kids, but the animation was just so bad at times. Like the Goon Squad animation was terrible. The best animated character of the Goon Squad was Dame Time. That was the best character that was animated in general, because it was just looking like him. It wasn't some weird, he was in a robot form. That was it. I think the Toon Squad as 3D was terrible. I think it was just dumb. It didn't make sense. It was not the Looney Tunes anybody else knows. They're just trying to be today's times.
The concept was that he quote unquote upgraded them to make them look like they had been updated to a game of today's world. Right. So and the thing is, y'all got to admit that Dame Time scene was hilarious.
Oh, I agree. And there's not. I'm saying there were positives. Like, I thought that was a positive. Don Cheadle was great. Little Ray in there, Rye, whatever his name is. I thought he was hilarious as the guest commentator. I thought that was great.
Laurel is his name.
Laurel. Now, I will say there was some jokes that were identical to jokes used in Space Jam, which frustrated me because they couldn't come up with their own material. The spaceship landing on top of a character, that happened in the original. They did it in this with Marvin the Martian. LeBron being made into a basketball, they did the same thing with Jordan. To me, you're just copying something that was already previously done, which you're already doing with the movie, and you're trying to make your own thing. Tweety coming out of Sylvester's mouth, done in the first one.
Well, that's part of their gig, though. Like, that's part of
you come in with different ways.
No, I mean, that's part of the Looney Tunes lore, though. That's not necessarily copying the joke. That's just copying. That's like saying Space Jam copied that from Looney Tunes. It's just part of what their characters do.
A human character being blown back up, that joke, that's a pump joke. They did it with LeBron. They did it with the heavier set guy from the original. And then jumping on the back of the player, that was done in the original. They jumped on Jordan, same as they jumped on LeBron. And then Bugs coming up with the plan. They did that in both movies. Literally, Bugs came up with the secret sauce, the secret juice for Jordan, and then Bugs had to come up with a plan for LeBron as well. But
I don't think that was Bugs coming up with a plan. I think Bugs was being selfish. No. Bugs Bunny was, because look,
wasn't selfish. He sacrificed his life at the end.
At the end.
Yeah, we need to put this spoiler alert.
Right. What I'm talking about is because if you think about the beginning, LeBron's talking about how he needs a basketball team, and Bugs, instead of like going off to all these other people that would probably be better basketball players just for sheer size, who does he want to gather? He wants to gather the Looney Tunes because he feels lonely because they all left him. That was Bugs' agenda.
He was gathering the Looney Tunes because he's, like he said, we've already done this before and won before. So he was proving they could do it again. But LeBron didn't want that. LeBron wanted all the Hall of Famers to play.
His hidden agenda was he wanted to get his family back because they had all left him by his lonesome.
So I love the references with Bobby Knight and Bill Belichick. Loved that. I thought that was perfect, spot on. Again, Don Cheadle. I thought it was great. My favorite scene was the Michael B. Jordan. That was
hilarious.
Perfect. And it would have been amazing if Jordan would have actually walked in. But still, it still was great. And then the most frustrating thing for me of all things, other than LeBron's acting, because obviously that was terrible, the fact there was so much product placement, not by just LeBron, but by WB. They got to talk about all the properties they own. No, we know what you own. We don't need you to reiterate and put it in our face. Like, it doesn't matter. This is not about you. It's about what we're supposed to be seeing and having fun. And I thought that was way overkill. And the fact that Nike checks are everywhere and the LeBron logo was everywhere on the jerseys, on the basketball. Like, we know you're in this movie. You didn't have to do that. I went again on Space Jam. You saw the Jordan logo twice, and they were both on his shoes. When they went and got the shoes, and then one time at the very end, when they starting the game, when they pan up on Jordan, they had his shoes. That was it. Nothing else was about Jordan and his logo. Everything was about LeBron, and that's not what the movie's supposed to be about. Like, it's supposed to be about the tunes and all that stuff. And I felt like that's just a discredit to what it is supposed to be about. And it was more of a billboard for WB properties and LeBron, and I think that's not good. And so for me, I gave that a 3 out of 10, and I gave the original Space Jam a 5 out of 10.
I agree with that. That's yes.
And that's a realistic review, not I'm a LeBron fan, I'm going to give it an 8 out of 10, when it's not an 8 out of 10.
I really wanted to give it a 10, but y'all would
it's not even, the thing is, there was probably 7,500
I took off
animated
2 points, one for each of you haters.
There's literally 75 animated kids films that are better than an 8, and that you think it's just as good as. That's why I know all you do is care about LeBron, because it's not about the movie, it's about LeBron.
Tom, can we agree with this assessment? Let's just agree with this. Let's and let me know if I'm even in the ballpark. The first Space Jam that they did, I want to say that the thought process was Michael Jordan is considered one of the greatest basketball players of all time. This would be a great opportunity for us to get an athlete in a movie, right? Versus in 2021, let's get the most famous athlete in a movie, and it'll generate people wanting to see it, not because it's going to be a good movie, but because of the athlete in it. Because LeBron James has that type of following where people are not fan of teams anymore. They're fan of simply LeBron James. So can we agree with that this movie was clearly about LeBron James and LeBron James only? That's the only reason why it has the buzz and people going to see it, because of LeBron James. Had it been any other player in the NBA outside of Kyrie Irving, because Kyrie Irving movie was pretty good actually. I really like that movie. So if you want to go watch a good basketball movie, Uncle Drew is a good movie. Great lines, great basketball. I would say it's
better than Space Jam 2.
That's why I'm saying it's a good movie. Yeah, it's way better than Space Jam 2. But again, you have to understand, the only reason why this movie is doing the numbers that it's doing is because LeBron James fans are out there making this movie. And then all the people that are Michael Jordan fans are going to see it so they can say, hey, this is a shit movie. Michael Jordan is better.
And just for reference, I watched this movie with 4 other people. A 13-year-old, my cousin, same age as me, her husband, who's a year or 2 younger, and my aunt. My aunt said it was terrible. She said it was one of the worst movies she's ever seen. My cousin said it was all right. Her husband said it was terrible. And the 13-year-old said it was probably the worst movie she's ever seen. So you're saying it's for kids, but there was a 13-year-old that hated the movie.
I need to know what all of those people...
None of them are basketball fans?
I need to know what they're registered as voting was.
Oh, wow. Wow, that's where we are right now.
None of them are basketball fans, so none of them care about LeBron.
Some of the biggest hate I have seen are from non-basketball fans, but are hardcore Republicans because they hate LeBron so much because of his political agenda, we shall say. But
you love him, and you're a Republican.
Right, but I'm just saying because I can separate the two, but I know it's not easy for everybody to do in today's world.
I'm just saying I gave you 3 other people that said the movie was trash, and you had 1 that said it was all right.
Well, I will say this: have you looked on Rotten Tomatoes? The critic score is lower, but the audience score is higher.
Audience score means nothing to me.
Why are we still talking about this? Can we end this podcast? Can we end this?
No, I
Like,
I have to know how he there's if Kevin Durant made the identical same movie or Giannis made the identical same movie, would you still give it an 8 out of 10 if you replaced?
he
wouldn't
will
be
not.
able
He's
to.
a LeBron James fan,
That's
bro.
that's what I want him to admit, but
he's
he
not
won't
gonna
do it.
admit
He's
that,
saying
though.
it's
You
only
know
because
that.
of the
Listen,
kid.
I just told
He's
y'all
not gonna admit
I'm
that.
going to be shocked if LeBron doesn't win an Oscar.
Well, we know that's a
You
lie.
know what? I'm getting off this podcast, man. I'm gonna let y'all have it because you are going too far,
Hey,
way too far. Time
before
You're supposed to give
you
an
have
honest
lost
review.
your
You didn't
damn
give an honest
mind,
review.
Time.
Well, he told us he was going to give us an honest review, and he didn't.
I gave him an 8 for
I'm
Kobe.
muting myself. To hell with both of y'all. The way Time talking.
I
Can't get an honest review.
well, I just told you how I felt about it. I know
An
Brady-
8, it's not what you feel because you're not going to say it's better than Beauty and the Beast. You're not going to say it's better than Pocahontas.
well,
Like
Beauty and the Beast was a 10. And
Pocahontas
Aladdin's
on 8. Pocahontas might be a 7. And
Yeah,
you're saying it's better
Pocahontas
than
is 7.
Pocahontas.
Yeah, it's better than Pocahontas. for
No,
sure.
that's blasphemous.
You can paint with all the colors of the wind, but you can't win a championship like LeBron did.
And the one other thing I
LeBron,
forgot to say, the soundtrack doesn't touch the original Space Jam soundtrack. It was non-existent in this movie.
yeah, I do like.
I didn't know they had a soundtrack.
Exactly. I said the same thing. After I'm like, where are the songs? I don't remember hearing any in the new Space Jam, but the original had some bangers.
Right.
I'm
I'm
this
not
conversation.
going to argue with that. Here's my
So-
thing, though. Here's
so
my
you think
thing.
the second one was better than the original?
Oh, for sure.
Oh,
And
God.
here's why. Here's
That's
the other
what
thing.
kills me, because you're just a LeBron fan.
Here's the other thing is LeBron was facing so much more pressure in this movie because there was
Man, if you don't get the hell off of
stakes.
this podcast, in the podcast, Time, in the damn
You knew
podcast,
I was going
you
to
are
end.
driving
because
me
If
fucking
LeBron
insane.
lost,
In
the world
the
was lost.
podcast, bro. It was
MJ was
not a
just
good
saving-
movie.
I
It
will
was a
just
trash
say this.
movie. He's a great NBA player.
I
Let's
will-
just leave it at that.
I'll just say this and he can end it. I'm going to say this is why people that like Jordan can't stand LeBron fans, because they can't separate anything from LeBron. LeBron's
Ah,
got to be the best at everything.
Unbelievable.
They can't separate the two. And that's why people that
I
like
didn't
Jordan.
say he's the best at everything,
You were
but
literally given a movie that is trash an 8 out of 10.
I do say this. I
It's
do
not even
like
close.
it better than the original Space Jam if I just watched them side by side and take away my little kid heart for that
I
love
don't
Space
believe
Jam
you
growing up.
because you gave it. You think it's better than Pocahontas. You think it's better than
No, that was
Okay.
a little hyperbole.
I do have to tell you this before you end the podcast, because I told Gary I was going to tell this story on the podcast. And this is a true story. This actually happened. And I'm not making this up. I had to call Gary because I thought it was the funniest shit ever. And then again, Tom, you can end this podcast because this is a great way to end it. So we're at the movie. We go to the premiere. We watch this on Wednesday. Wednesday. We get the opportunity to watch it on Wednesday, early. And we go in, and it's me, my wife, my 4 kids, and my mother-in-law and my father-in-law. And I'm sitting next to my father-in-law. And the movie's like right before the movie started, like literally right before the movie started, my dad leaned over, my father-in-law leans over, he goes, "Son, why did they make another Space Jam?" And I go, well, in true D'Angelo fashion, this is how I understood it. I go, well, LeBron James is always compared to Michael Jordan, so he's the closest thing to Michael Jordan. So made a 2 in homage of that. My father-in-law looks me dead in my eyes. I can't make this shit up. He looks me dead in my eyes and goes, "Why didn't they get Kobe Bryant to do it?" And I go, "Dad, Kobe died." And he goes, "Oh shit, that's probably why he can't do it." He was like, "Well, he was just as good. I mean, they could have did one up until this point, and he could have." And I was like, "Nah, Dad, that ain't the same." So it led me to this question, and I'm gonna let y'all go. And this is just something I want to ask to the fans that are listening out there. Would this movie have been better had it been Kobe Bryant?
Yes, he's a better actor. But honestly, if you replace this movie,
He has a Grammy, right? Does he have a Grammy?
Yes.
Not a Grammy. He has a.
No,
Didn't he?
he had an animated something like Emmy or something like that.
So,
It's
but I
an
would
Emmy
say
for- yeah.
it didn't matter what honestly, you could put any basketball player in that thing, that movie still would have been terrible. It wasn't just because of LeBron. And that's the thing I will honestly admit. It wasn't just LeBron. Someone that time won't admit because he is so in love with LeBron, everything has to be good. It didn't matter who was in this movie. The movie itself was not good. There were so much bad things between an animated movie that wasn't with great animation. And the saving graces was the jokes they made on LeBron. There wasn't really anything good about the movie besides Don Cheadle's performance and then the little bit of ribbing. Other than that, the movie was terrible. Like, and that's the thing is if it could have been Giannis, it could have been Jordan making a sequel, it still would have been terrible. It doesn't matter. And that's the thing, as a critic, I will say that because it has nothing to do with LeBron. LeBron just happened to be the player that was in the movie. So, but he couldn't act, obviously. So, it wouldn't matter who it was. If it was Giannis, it'd have been the same thing. And that's the true nature of a critic versus somebody who just loves a guy. That's all.
Listen, all I'm saying is that when they let LeBron be goofy, I think his acting got a little bit better because it's a little bit more natural. The ultra serious LeBron was terrible, but I think once you got to let him play a little bit more of his natural personality, I think you saw that it wasn't quite as bad.
What fucking movie was you watching?
Talking about that?
What movie?
That 35 seconds he had.
What movie
right.
are you
Movie?
watching, Tom?
Come on.
What are you talking about?
See,
You talking
that's the
about
thing. You're just reaching for things. 'Cause
all
you love
phases
LeBron
of
so much.
LeBron's acting was shitty, bro. What are you talking about?
No, I'm saying it got better.
No. I'm gonna tell you what's gonna get better when you end this podcast and we can stop
Well,
talking about LeBron.
Before we end it, you
horrible
want to
ass
talk
acting
about
job.
a little Serve the Story? When are we going to have that coming?
We do. We have Serve the
Ooh.
Story releasing on this Friday.
There
Our
we go.
5th season. And
What?
then we are going to take a little bitty break for about a month and a half. And then we'll be back with season 6. So this Friday.
Hold up. So why y'all need a month? What's going on in this month? Why y'all need to take what you need to take off for?
We got some new little projects we're going to be working on.
Okay. All right, I'm with that. Yeah, as you can see, they leave me in the dark on a whole bunch of shit. But it's cool though.
Never mind. I don't want to.
Boy, I tell you, I can't work under these conditions. Man, end the damn podcast, Tom.
We appreciate y'all tuning in for another episode of Cinnamon Sugar Podcast. We out. Go watch Space Jam. It's great.
You are now listening to the Cinnamon and Sugar Podcast featuring D'Angelo Williams and Gary Barnage. You are now listening to the Cinnamon and Sugar Podcast featuring D'Angelo Williams and Gary Barnage. You are now listening to